Kingston.
Indeed, Empress. Big up yourself today.
Big up yourself. So I have a question. Why do you think celebrity relationships create more casualties than lifelong confidants?
That's a pressure-filled situation, but I'm ready to get into it.
You ready to talk about it?
Let's talk about it.
Scoot up for a second and let's chat. Yo, DJ, drop that beautiful champagne footage. Welcome to Champagne Secretzz with Empris and Kingston, where the bubbles are crisp, the secrets are smoother than silk, and the gossip flows like the finest champagne. So grab your glass, darlings. Let the corks pop, the laughter bubble, and the tea spill. Here, we sip sophistication and spill secrets with style. So hang out with us in the secret chalet and enjoy the chicest, sassiest, and bubbliest gossip hour on YouTube. Everyone has an opinion. This is ours.
Big up yourself, Empress. Glasses up. To the streets that never sleep, and to the secrets running deep. Let's get it.
Hey, yes. Oh, we love that song. For real, for real. Welcome to Champagne Secretzz, baby. If you're on your champagne shit, then grab your glass and hold it in the air. Pour it up like you just don't care. And if you're listening in the morning, go ahead and throw some orange juice in and make it a mimosa. Ain't nothing wrong with it. And if you're one of our non-alcoholic type of confidants, go ahead and grab you a non-alcoholic bubbly. Ain't nothing wrong with it. It's all good, baby. I am the Empress.
And it's me, Kingston the King. Me not mean, I just say what I mean.
Period. And we are inviting you to come in and chill with us in the secret chalet for some grown discussions and some bubbly banter. So if you ready to sip, savor, and spill, then come on in, come on in. Now for our disclaimer. Over here, we don't name, call, berate, or tear down. We do, however, discuss actions and behaviors. And we sip on a little something, something while doing it, huh?
Indeed.
We get a little classy with a twist, huh?
All
a
of
little
that
clink
there.
with chaos. So I hope your classes are filled to the rim. Let's go ahead and get into it.
Indeed.
Kingston.
Indeed. Big up yourself, Empress.
Big up yourself, Kingston. What are we sipping on tonight?
We're going to keep it a little bit classy here, as we always do. But since it's a grown situation, we're going to grab off this Pommery, and we're going to make sure it's the Royal Brute. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Sip, sip. So, for today's episode, all right, so we have Rick Ross and Pretty V on the screen, right? Mm-hmm. And I got to say, this was an unexpected relationship. Like, when I found out about this relationship, it wasn't that it was a bad thing. It was just unexpected. I didn't think she was the type of girl he would go for.
I thought the same thing. But when I first seen them together, one of my first reactions was to go and actually take a closer look at Pretty V. I thought I pretty much understood how Rick Ross moved, and I thought I understood how Pretty V moved, but there's like a whole other side to her that made me respect her even more. And she was definitely a catch. I get it.
Definitely. One thing that I like is that he didn't choose one of these BBL mannequins out here.
Right.
He picked a regular girl.
Big up to all the natural queens out there.
All the natural queens. And she's so goofy and bubbly. Like, I love Pretty V.
I mean, but think about it though. Isn't that the kind of person that But even you yourself, when you think about it, you want to be around that person that's not dragging an energy and all of that other foolishness. You want to have a good time. You want to be able to vibe. I feel like if you're in a relationship, you should be able to vibe, have a good time. If not, what you're doing.
You know what? All these girls out here getting reality shows. I think I would love to see a reality show based on Pretty V.
Oh, that would be good.
Just because she's so upbeat and fun loving, I would love to see like who she is outside of that, because I think it really will help us to understand like really why he chose her, because I'm sure a lot of the world was like, Pretty V is immature, why would he choose her?
Right.
Immature. But we all know everybody got to put on for the camera. She may be totally different when you have her low key like by herself.
Man, from the look of them pictures, she looked like she know how to be grown when she want to.
I would love to see Pretty B like
Definitely.
outside of the wild and out, fandom, just be out being herself.
Somebody get this to Pretty V. I'm throwing it out there for the love of V.
For the love of V, I love it.
Big up yourself.
But what disturbed me even more, or kind of bothered me, is when I heard the allegations of them breaking up. It was just like, no, like it was one of those relationships you wanted to see last, because it was so different from what you're used to seeing the rappers display.
Right.
Lord, let me turn this doggone thing off. Excuse me for a second, y'all.
So, from the aspect of that, I think it was as well just the shock value of it all. Because I don't know about everyone, but I'm pretty sure most people grew up with that show called The Cosby Show. And you had two characters that were in a relationship, and for all intents and purposes, this was the perfect relationship. So I feel like when we see relationships that we feel are perfect and that's going to work, we literally get invested into it. And then when it goes bad, it's like, my God,
Like, what happened?
what happened? Why couldn't you make it? Why?
Right. That was the question. Like,
That
Rick
was-
Ross and Pretty V. Like, why couldn't you make it? Like, what went wrong? Because it was so unexpected, but so loved at the same time. Like I said, I'm living for the fact that he didn't pick a big booty blow up doll, and that
Right.
he picked someone who was natural and authentically themselves. Like, I loved it for them. So
I don't know about anybody else, but I'm like Jesse. I'm keeping hope alive. Maybe they'll circle back to each other.
you think they'll circle back?
I hope so, because I felt like they were good together.
So why do you think? Just speculation, just Kingston's thoughts.
Just speculation on the rug. I feel like he still loves the girl, but he was headed into some situations by way of association, without harping too much on it. As far as like with the Diddy situation, I think he cut it loose before she got tied up in that. And that's what you do when you love somebody. At the end of the day, if it comes to a matter of you or them, you choose yourself and push them out of harm's way. That's what I feel happened, personally.
I think that, and if that is the case, because I really don't see anything as to why they broke up, like in the blogs, or maybe I'm missing it because I don't follow that deep. I'm not one of those fans,
Yeah.
but I'm just, if that is the case, that he broke up with her because of him being tied to Diddy and him wanting to protect her, that was a real king move, Rick Ross.
No doubt. See, I think it's so hard
Protect the queen, chestnut checkers.
Indeed, I think why it's so hard to understand for most people if that is the case, because in most relationships, be it on the side of the male or the female, if a bus is coming, it's everybody for themselves. There is no protection in relationships more times than not in these days. You have two people together that are claiming to be one, but everybody is for themselves.
So it really brings us to our topic today and to the discussion. Why do we think celebrity relationships create more casualties than lifelong confidants? Because we know with celebrities, right? They're consistently under the eye of the media, the eye of the world. So love under the lens. Like, does it work when your relationship is constantly on display? What do you think?
I think that it definitely can work under the lens, but I think more times than not, it does not. And it does not because of a array of reasons that I want to get into.
Okay, let's get into them then. So, what do you think? Okay, so first, let's look at some of the broken relationships, right?
All right,
So we have, of course, Rick Ross and Pretty V on
right.
the screen. What about Cardi and Offset?
I think in the instance of Cardi and Offset, I think that old habits die hard. It is not by a speculation that we know Offset moves around the town. And I'm pretty sure that this behavior started long before Cardi B. And in that instance, you have to make a decision. You have to make a decision and you got to battle with yourself. You know what I mean? You got to get in the mirror. You got to slap yourself, punch yourself, whatever you need to do. Drink down a whole bottle of whiskey, whatever you need to do to get yourself into the mentality that this is the base and I must protect it at all costs. But that's usually not the instance. It's the habit that wins. And it don't even have to be women. It could be a number of things.
So you think it's the temptation of stardom?
Yeah, I think it's a temptation to start them, but then it's the reality of it is, when you got a little bit of money, you get a little bit of poos, right? When you got a lot of money, you get a lot of what?
Well, yeah. So, for those who are watching, go ahead and drop in the comments why you think celebrity relationships don't last. And also go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button so you'll be notified. Also hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when we drop a new show.
Mash it tough now.
Go ahead and get those likes up for us, all right? For me, I think stardom comes with its own set of responsibility, right?
Right?
And I think here's the thing. Here's something that I learned a long time ago, right? Power corrupts. Absolute power absolutely corrupts. I'll never forget it. I think stardom exemplifies who you were already before the stardom. So I think a lot of the issues that we see in these celebrity relationships is the fact that we don't deal with certain issues on a level before we reach the eye or we're under the lens. So now we're under the lens and everything we're struggling with is on Front Street.
I never forget. I know it was not his statement, but he definitely made it in the rap. Jay-Z said one time, he said, nothing exceeds like excess. And it's so true because when you have more access, the sky is the limit and not even necessarily in the best of ways. Because when I have access, now I have access to a greater, bigger world around me. And if I don't take the opportunity to pause and actually check myself or have people around me to check me, now I'm literally going from a place of survival to a place of just being set. And it takes a certain mindset to be able to handle it. If you're only making, if you're only living paycheck to paycheck, and then I drop $10 million on you, and you're not ready for it, those habits are going to bleed out because you develop habits when you're in an impoverished state, whether we want to admit it or not. And then if you're not careful, those habits that you got will be, as you pointed out clearly, it'll be magnified.
So do you think that celebrities, once they reach a certain status, almost feel like they're untouchable and they
Definitely.
can do what they want to do?
Definitely. Definitely. I think that's the case. Individuals, the more money you have, the more power you have, the more influence you have without a checks and balance, you're going to feel like you can do whatever you want to do when you're the top gangster, you're the top bad girl, whatever the case may be. It's going to happen. The reality of it is you got to get somebody that every now and then be able to be there to pop your balloon. But who's going to pop the balloon when the balloon is paying you?
Well, now, and I think it becomes a dangerous thing when you have love and money put together and you're
Well,
trying to combine the two, especially when you don't have any standards and boundaries before you combine the two.
well, no, everything has its proper place. Because, I mean, if you throw out a pile of money on the bed and you make love on it, my goodness. Love and money could definitely go together. Just make sure you sanitize it when you're done.
But you know what? That brings us to another important point because then it would make you have to wonder if a lot of these celebrities feel like all I need to bring to you to the table is money.
I think that's, I think somewhere along the line the dynamic shifts and nobody realizes that it shifted, because when you have a little bit of money in a relationship, 9 times out of 10, you have more consideration, you
Hmm.
have more admiration, and you have more expressions of love. Then when you get money, now the expressions of love turns to things, to stuff, to doing. I got you a car. I got you a ring. I took you on a trip. But did you tell me you love me today? Did you tell me how good I look today? Did you did you habitually sign me up for a month long extension of quickies, or were you still pausing to make love to me?
I can agree with that. I can definitely agree with that. I think sometimes when you get the money, the rest of the stuff kind of goes out the window. It's almost like for a lot of people, money becomes the end all of the relationship.
Hmm.
Like it becomes the totality of the relationship. We got money, what else do you want?
Hmm.
So then it's like the love, the attention, the adoration, the courtship, it all stops because there's the feeling that all I need to do is throw at you another bag
Hmm.
or throw at you another 600K or buy you another pair of shoes and it's going to fix the problem
Hmm.
because now I have money. Do you think, well, then that would bring you to another question.
What's that?
Do you think celebrity relationships can last when money comes into play?
They can, but 9 times out of 10, they don't. It's a harsh reality, but a very real one. When the star is climbing, if not taking the proper steps, it'll become a fallen one.
So, chat, people in the comments, if you're commenting, I have a question for you. Do you think with celebrities, do you think money is enough? So, if you dated a celebrity and all they had to offer you was money and all they threw at you was money, would you be okay with the money and the money alone? Would you forego the love and the attention because you have the money? I heard someone say on their show that I was listening to that everyone has a price.
Mm.
Do you think that is true? That today's relationships in celebrity are only relationships because someone had a price?
That's a tough question, but it's a very real one, because most of these individuals, the mindset I believe happens is we live and we die by the brand. If it's not good for the brand, it's not good for us. And that's not the way that they were living before they got the upgrade or whatever the case may be. Because I tell you what, no matter how much money I get, if I feel like touching my woman's butt when we're in public, I'm touching it. Respectfully, of course. If I feel like kissing my lady, I'm kissing her, whether it's in public or not. I'm not concerned about the brand because the brand didn't get me here. My queen and me got me here.
But here's the thing, right? With today's day and age, everything's
Money
about the
hungry.
almighty dollar.
Yeah, money hungry,
So,
thirsty.
if the right woman approached you, right?
Mm-hmm.
We gonna have some chat. Y'all got them glasses filled? Because we finna talk about it, right? If the right woman approached you and said, I just want you on my arm, there's not gonna be, it's not a real relationship. I just want you on my arm. And you don't have to worry about any of your needs being met.
Mm.
I'm coming with cash.
Mm.
You can get any car you want. I just need you on my arm. Can you be bought?
At that point, that's when I pack my stuff up, run over to that house, blow her back out habitually. No, but all jokes aside, right? At the end of the day, if someone buys you today, they'll be buying you tomorrow. You can't once you're sold, you are sold, and you are sold for the purpose of use. You don't buy a car to run alongside it. You do not buy a person in order to be able to be friends or to be able to, for all intents and purposes, develop something real. You're buying a product. You're no longer a person in that situation, because as soon as something goes wrong, one of the first things going to be said is, "What about what I do for you?"
Yeah. So do you think the temptation is way too high in celebrityism, or do you think the immaturity of the individuals involved?
I think the maturity level is what's lacking. The maturity level is what's lacking in the situation, because at the end of the day, you're taking a person who is literally a child in finance and putting them in an adult situation. There's a big difference between $100,000 and $10 million.
Yeah.
Big difference.
I'm going to use an example, right? When I was younger, uh, I'm a what you would call a church girl. I grew up my entire life in church, so that was all I knew. I didn't know the world.
Big up to John.
When I when I graduated and finally moved out on my own, all of the boundaries that my mom had set when I was living with her was all removed. So when I got on my own, I was like a kitty in a candy store. I could go where I wanted to. I could do what I wanted to. But I didn't have the mental stability of how to navigate in this new world without boundaries. So I did some of everything, baby. If the walls could talk, listen.
Well, hopefully they don't.
Clubs, bars, clubs, men, women, everything. I did what I wanted to because I was in an experimental stage. So I'm wondering, and it was, of course, because of my level of immaturity, because I hadn't experienced that before. So I wonder, is this the danger of celebrityism or dating celebrities? Because you've taken these people and you've thrust them into stardom. Yes, I may really like you and I may really want to be with you, but now I've been introduced to a whole new world and I'm like a kitty in a candy store.
Yeah, I could see that. I think just like you pointed out with newfound freedom from that transition from proverbial childhood to adulthood, that could definitely create a very, very intense situation with newfound freedom, especially when you may have been boxed in. I think the other thing that you have to pair with it, right, is you got to pair with the aspect of the ego. If the ego is not in check, I'll give you a prime example. In moving around in certain environments with individuals, time past, who engage with street pharmaceuticals, they had this mentality where not individuals I want to build a relationship connection with. I give people permission to be in my atmosphere. I give people permission to be in my circle, even when engaging with a female. If he's mash it tough, I did that and I got what I needed, but you should be grateful because I'm me. So the mentality shifts from me being who I was on my birth certificate, you being who you were on your birth certificate, to us being these figures and these characters and developing this ego, this bravado, where you need to be excited to be around me because I'm me.
Got it. So that brings up another question because, excuse me, you do have the relationships where you'll have a celebrity who's been established
Right?
that gets with someone who isn't a celebrity and kind of brings them up, right?
True.
But then you have the flip side of the coin, as in a Cardi B and an Offset, where you have a celebrity who is established, like Offset, who was Amigo. Then you have Cardi B, who is already established in her own lane. Now you're bringing these two personalities together. So what do you think is the problem when you have not somebody that's trying to carry someone to the top, but two people who have already made it to the top? Do you think it's egos clashing? Do you think it's a competition of who's bigger? Or what do you think the issue is in those relationships?
Like, I don't even think it's Cardi B's issue, just on the rug. I know that the men are gonna be like, come on now, don't do it. But I gotta do it. I gotta be honest. I gotta keep it on the rug. I think the issue is with Offset, right? Because Cardi B is worth 100+ million. Offset is about worth 20 something million. It may have grown since the last time I looked at it. But if you have an individual who is one still yet immature, and then that's going to tag along with an ego trip, the individual is going to do and exert wherever they can the freedom of being themselves and being the proverbial leader of the pack, even if that means being out here hoeing. I can do what I want to do. I'm the boss here. You got the most money, but I can make the moves I want to here. I'm the man. I do what I want to do.
So, so down in the comments, chat, right? Put in the comments whether or not you have a price.
Be honest now.
And if you have a price, put in the comments what that price is. Meaning, if a man or woman walked up to me and said, I will offer you da 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 da, I'm game. I'm going. Put in the comments if you have a price. Because I think it's worth talking about. Because when you see a lot of what's going on in social media right now with celebrities who've been celebrities for a while, and a lot of these Insta celebrities that are coming up, even when you look at the Cassie and the Diddy situation and other situations that are going on with celebrity relationships, do you think a lot of this happened because there was a price on the table? Do you think because, I mean, stop and think about it. Some people's names mean money. Like at the end of the day, if you say Michael Jordan, you know who Michael Jordan is. If you say LeBron James, you know who LeBron James is. Now, I'm not saying LeBron would, right? But I'm just saying, if LeBron approached some of you ladies right now with a number, are you going? Like, let's be real. Let's keep it real. The fact of the matter is, we can come on down some. If Blueface approached some of y'all with a number, are you going?
I think you're asking questions like we need to go ahead and just get real rough and dirty with it. I posed a question that was posed to me, right? When I presented this in conversation to someone and we were talking about name your price, if you will. And big up to the LGBTQ community and the I as well. I respect your choice and your decision. But for me, I'm a heterosexual male, respectfully. But the question was posed, if somebody comes to you and it's hundreds of millions of dollars and it's a man and he says, I just want one night with you, would you do it? No, I wouldn't do it because that's not my preference and I can't be bought. And that's the question that you got to ask yourself now before you get the success, which is the question that I don't think that many people ask. What are you willing to do to get there and to stay there? And if you ask yourself a question that would make you feel less than what you would want to feel as far as your life journey, you got some questions to ask yourself on the real. And even on the aspect as far as a woman is concerned. Now, the Empris is naming individuals that are aesthetically pleasing. What if your ex hits the lottery and he says to you, well, I want you back, but you got to be my sex slave. And you have unlimited finances. What you're doing. And ask yourself, if you say yes, why you're doing it.
But here's the even deeper thing. Do they even have to put a title on it? Because when you look at a lot of stuff that's going on now, right?
Right.
A lot of people are gravitating just for the name and for the money.
True.
So even if he doesn't come to you and say, I want you to be my sex slave, if he just comes up to you and says, I just hit for 50 million, you gonna take me back or what? Can you be bought? That's the question on the table. Does everyone have a price? I mean, we got to be honest with ourselves about this conversation because we can say a lot of stuff when the eyes is watching.
Right.
But when those lenses is turned off.
But me, I'm talking about, and when I say ex, I'm talking about that one that got on your last nerves, that sex was bad, they had no communication, they were stingy. You're going to take that individual back just to get to the bag. Just a thought.
It's a thought. Drop in the comments and let us know. We want to have a grown and sexy conversation because this is definitely a little clink and chaos.
Indeed.
So, next one,
Hmm.
Will Smith and Jada.
The word of today, people.
So listen. What I have next to their names, it says when the agenda is an agenda.
My goodness. The word of the day, people, entanglement. That's the word of the day. Entanglement. Go check out the song and the story.
So, number one, put in the comments if you've ever been in an entanglement. And just to pause for a second while we discussion, and we're gonna get back to it, but we're getting ready to start a segment called the Champagne Letters. And in the Champagne Letters, you'll have the opportunity to write into us and have myself, the Empress, and Kingston
Big ups.
have a discussion on your letter. No matter what it is, you can be anonymous or put your name on it, it don't matter. And maybe we'll choose your letter to discuss on the show. But speaking of entanglements, put in the comments if you've ever been in an entanglement. I have been in a few or three. Listen to me, you heard? But with Will and Jada, it's just hard to believe that the Jada that we're getting now is the same Jada from what's our movie?
That's that low down dirty shame.
That too, but the one with Tretch in it.
Oh, don't make me lie.
Oh my God, why am I going? You know the one where she was working in a diner.
Oh, you're talking. Oh my goodness, Jason's lyric.
Thank you. Oh my God.
If you watch that movie, right, make sure you watch it with a significant other you love, and I guarantee you to be able to go straight to bed after.
Straight to bed.
I dare you to try.
So, do you think Jada had an agenda, or do you think Will had an agenda? Which one do you think is the issue in this relationship?
I think personally, I think Jada had an agenda. Will was already set. He was a global star since the 90s because people loved the Fresh Prince. At least I did. I can't speak for everybody else, right? But I think Jada was the issue because she's the one that got the proverbial come up in the situation. Because Will's star was going to climb regardless because he kept getting hit after hit after hit except for that Western movie.
So, oh, I hated it. Do you think that Jada somehow wanted to bring Will down?
I don't think that she wanted to bring Will down. I think Jada developed a very real attraction to a certain type of male when she was younger, and she took Will because that was the bag option. I don't care what nobody say. If she didn't have a relationship with Tupac, as far as intimate, she still had one that was so connected that she began to be attracted to that type of male. Because August Alsina, even though he's an R&B singer, he's very edgy, he's very rough. Now Will Smith, even though he's from Philly, right, he doesn't strike me as a Philly guy. So in that situation, you're trying to get to the bag, but you're attracted to something else. So you're going to create a situation habitually. If it wouldn't have been August Alsina, it would have been somebody else, I guarantee you. Because you can't have a love for thugs and try to turn it around in a day and go for an L7.
Now, here's the thing, right? Because I've heard over and over, allegedly, that Will and Jada kind of had an open marriage, right? They did each other, they did other people. Do you think that brings a level of detriment into the relationship when you open it up to outside influences?
I think that it does, and the only reason I think that it does happen when it happens is, again, individuals are not doing a self-check before they jump into it. If you're already having struggles in your relationship currently, adding a third person, especially with the potentiality because the person may be better. At the end of the day, there's always somebody out there that can do it better than you. And this may be the person you introduce into the situation that could do it and be better than you. In a struggling relationship, you're in trouble.
So do you think this is because I've heard this a lot with a lot of the celebrities, right?
Hmm.
The thought of inviting someone in. Do you think that protects the sanctity of the relationship in an effort to keep it spicy? Or do you think this is just a um, when enough is not enough, is never enough?
It can be both. It can be both. It can be enough is not enough, and it also can be an instance of where you are spicing up your relationship, right? But it has to be done with individuals who are mature enough to handle the situation, and the situation cannot be struggling. For real. There's a reason that you don't put extra large jeans on a morbidly obese person because they're gonna bust off. So don't put yourself in a situation relationally that you know you're not ready for because at the end of the day, it's gonna bust at the seams.
Do you think it's easier to have an open relationship when you're not in the eye of the public? Do you think it's easier to have an open relationship when you're not a celebrity?
I don't think that it's easy on one hand or the other. I think it's just a matter. Again, I go back to the point. I hate to keep
Because hold on,
harping on it.
this is the reason why I say this is because you think about it. When before you get to the eye of the public, right? You're just, the average person. No one really cares about your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You may have people who have dated your significant other before that try to throw stuff in the media, right? In the mix, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you reach, excuse me, y'all, I'm getting over a cold. When you really reach that celebrity status, right? Now you have to wonder if the person that you're bringing into the situation has ulterior motive. So you got to think about your motive, your significant other motive. Now you got to screen the people that you're bringing in
Mm-hmm.
to make sure they're not just going to run to the tabloid for a payoff. So do you think it makes it a little more tricky when you're in a relationship? Well, when you're a celebrity trying to bring others into your relationship?
Again, I really don't. I
You
think
know,
it's an instance of where individuals have to be mature in the situation. And hear me out, because if I have more money and I also have the maturity with the money, I realize I have a greater option than someone who may not have as much money as me. That's why you have avenues out here like private sex clubs and things of that nature where people literally create an atmosphere to protect those who are a part of their proverbial party and gathering. Because at the end of the day, if you feel like adding somebody else, or you feel like adding to somebody else's, or 10 or 30, whatever the case may be, as an adult, you can do that.
but then look at like now, you have all these celebrities who have all of these proverbial exes or side pieces who are consistently coming out for their moment to shine and get at the top. So proof or not, they're coming out, oh yeah, I was with such and such. I did this with such and such because everybody right now is looking for their moment to come up. So it makes me wonder, like, yeah, this may be your thing. You like to have fun, to each his own.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have fun?
Mm-hmm.
But you got to stop and think about the day and age that we're living in. So are you protecting your relationship by bringing somebody in to keep it spicy? Or are you putting your relationship more in harm because there's more people on the outside who want to do harm than it is people who are just saying, yeah, I'll come in for a good time and make a good 10, 20K in the process?
I'm playing advocate. If those individuals, more times than not, that usually come out and air people out, are individuals who are not handled correct in the situation. At the end of the
Okay.
day, you got funds. Take care of the individual. I'm not saying pay them off, but at the end of the day, you know the potentiality of this individual being in your home, which is probably a 8 to 9 bedroom home, 4 bathrooms. Your refrigerator is always full. You have multiple cars in the garage, and I go back home to my minimum wage in my flat or wherever I
I
am.
see what you're saying.
Take care of the individual. If you bring them into your unit, for as long as they're into your unit, you take care of them. And even after that, still keep it professional. Send a Christmas card, $1,000 for you, whatever the case may be. Hope all is well with you. But usually, You get to that place to where you got power and you feel that everybody and everything is disposable. So you use the rag, you throw it away.
And you think that's what's setting a lot of these celebrities up for
Yeah.
the people to come up because you treated them like a dirty rag and
This,
tossed them to the side when you were done.
the saying goes clearly, if you want to be the boss, you gotta pay the cost.
I got you. I feel that. So, you put in the comments why you think Will and Jada um, broke up, didn't make it, got entangled, all of that.
Bad sex, immaturity. Tell us.
Tell us what you think. The next one, and this is kind of an old school relationship and breakup, celebrity nonetheless, because I love both of these. Catherine Zeta and Michael Douglas. So I have next to this one, when too much sex is too much sex.
There's no such thing. As much as you can handle it, when you can handle it with consent, yes, please.
But I think that's what she said the thing was. She said it was too much. He wanted it all the time. Now, I don't understand this theology, but ladies and gentlemen, I need you to drop in the comment and let us know. Do you feel sex can ever be too much? Like, when do you feel too much sex is too much sex? Because this literally broke up their relationship. She said this is why they ended, was because he wanted sex too much.
Interesting. That's a very, very interesting reason to...
And is that a such thing in marriage?
See, this is the thing. Again, me gonna keep it real. All the time. Rough, real, mean. At the end of the day, she had some emotional distress. And the emotional distress caused her to shut down. Because if it was simply just about the sex, if the sex was bad, she would have said it was bad. She just said that he wanted it too much. No, he didn't want it too much. He was not addressing other issues. Because if he would have made sure that she was emotionally secure, if he would have made sure that she financially secure, they had that locked down. If he would have made sure that she was mentally secure, she would have busted open every time he asked for it. But it was something that was missing. Because a woman that is literally into a man and getting everything that she needs from a man is going to bust it open so much it'll make him beg to stop.
That is so not true.
That's my opinion.
That is so not true. You gotta look. There's a lot of women out here who don't care how much money you putting on the table, how much you taking care of them on the outside. There are some women out here who are not that sensual.
I'm praying for you all.
You need to pray, because. And then there's a lot of women out here who feel like that's a responsibility. So you taking care of them is not a privilege to them. It's something that you should do anyway.
Hold that thought. That's when things become dangerous there. When you're talking about an instance of sex and intimacy in a relationship, when it becomes a task, then that's when the problem comes. Because she was saying it's too much, you were saying it's too much. Ultimately, it's saying you're paying attention to the frequency, to the level, and proverbially counting. When you're literally into a situation, there's no time for counting. There's no time to say, oh, it's Monday, let's do it. Or, oh, it's Saturday, let's do it. Every time I see you, I'm ready for you.
But then you have to look at, now I'm going to have to play the devil's advocate for Catherine here. Now, I don't agree with her, because I am the complete opposite. But we're going to play the devil's advocate. So, a lot of women, like there is the whole drive spectrum. You have some women that are high on the spectrum, which means they want it all the time. But you have a lot of women who are very low on the spectrum who they really only want sex once to twice a week. And anything above that is too much. It don't matter how much you're paying. It don't matter how much you're taking. You can buy a Rolls Royce and they still not going to bust it open for you because their drive doesn't run like that. Not me, but we talking about some women. You know what? If I have women in the comments or women listening to this, and even men, because there are some men that are like that too. I had one, and I had to actually go seek counseling to find out what was going on, because there's a such thing as people being asexual, where they really are not turned on by intimacy.
Could take
That's
it or
not a
leave it.
thing for them. They can take it or leave it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think this is one of those situations where that, one word that a lot of people don't like, communication. That's where communication comes in, because these are things that really should be discussed before you decide to get into the relationship. Like, hold on, before we even decide to go down this path, how much sex do you like?
Well, for me, I am respectfully C-sexual. I see her and I want it. Give it here. Put it right here. This, that, right here.
If you agree with Kingston, put some champagne glasses in the chat.
Get into it.
So, um, the next one we have is another oldie but goodie, Bruce Willis and Demi Moore. So, what I have next to this one is when you outgrow your partner.
Mm.
So, what do you do when, and this can be another tricky thing too, especially for celebrities, because, before you get to that celebrity status, you're seeing people who are just like you, kind of like on your level and move like you. But then when you hit that celebrity status, you're around this plethora of different people who are like you, who are not like you. They say opposites attract.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think there's a danger in becoming a celebrity and getting married because there's so much candy in the candy store that it becomes easier to outgrow your significant other or your spouse because there's, again, too much temptation?
Right. I think it's the aspect of, and dealing with Bruce and Demi, right? I think it's the aspect of they, for all intents and purposes, they were heading towards being empty nesters and still realized they both still had a lot of life left in them. Because think about it, when Demi broke off from the situation, she ended up with Ashton Kutcher. A big spectrum jump. She wanted something young to roll around in it, boom boom. Let's be for real. And Bruce Willis just about did the same. He went for something that was younger. I feel like if not careful, you allow what you do at work to bleed over at home. At home, you need to be what you need to be at home, and at work, you need to be what you need to be at work. You don't have to die hard at home, and you don't have to, for all intents and purposes, be a villain on Charlie's Angel at home either.
So I looked it up, right? Demi and Bruce were married for 13 years.
Yeah.
That is a long time to outgrow each other. But I know the thing with outgrowing is it didn't happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder at what point during those 13 years did they start to realize we've outgrown each other, or we are outgrowing each other, or what does it even look like to outgrow? Like, what does that even mean? To put in the comments what you think it means to outgrow someone.
I'm going back and I'm going to reach for maturity, which I spoke of, but I'm also going to pair it with focus. Mm-hmm. Because before you get to the level, you have to have maturity, but you also have to have focus. Because at the end of the day, if you are in Bruce Willis, respectfully so, for the women around the world, especially in his prime, he's an attractive male. Big up yourself. And then for Demi Moore, definitely aesthetically pleasing woman, especially in her prime. But you're talking about me going to work and I'm kissing on Megan Good and I come home to a wife that's just barely good.
Yeah.
You got to reconcile all those things and be mature enough and focused enough to say, hey, I'm out here and I'm doing what I'm doing, playing these roles, kissing these women or kissing these men. But my main focus is this individual right here. Even though you just may have came from a sex scene with a Jason Momoa type figure.
I got it. Because I think that's a long time to invest that amount of time into someone and then have to start. My fear is always having to start over.
Yeah.
Can you think about trying to start over in this day and age? You got serial killers, you got psychos,
STDs, growing on top of STDs.
On top of
Because what
STDs.
is a cluster?
You
Look it up.
a simplex.
Look it up. Cluster. STD cluster. It's new. Look it up. Tragic.
So then, oh Lord, I hate to talk about this one because this one kind of hurt my heart. Papoose and Remy Ma. I have when enough isn't enough.
I looked at them like the rap Huxtables. I'm not even gonna lie. And that's crazy.
I just knew they were gonna last. I just knew the way you never see a man, respectfully, you never see men holding down women the way you saw Papoose hold down Remy.
Mm-hmm.
You never see that,
It's
especially a woman going to prison for.
Yes.
How long did she go to prison for?
I don't even know how long she was in there.
But he held her down, and held the kids down while she was locked up.
And went to visit her all the time.
She got out. It was Queen Remy, Queen Remy, Queen Remy. He was happy to have his queen home. She lost that weight and lost her ever-living damn mind. Ever-living mind.
It's tragic.
And then she chose a mini Papoose.
Not even close, because he definitely doesn't have the flow of a Papoose.
Not at all. But I'm saying you chose somebody who's trying to do what Papoose has already did.
Yeah, try to figure it out and wrap your head around it. When you get it, you let me know.
But again, celebrity couples. You know, the world had changed a little bit by the time Remy had got out. So she was basically stepping out to a whole new world. The reality shows had started kicking up. She had the opportunity to get on a reality show who really blew her up and made her name even bigger for those who really didn't know who she was. You know, she came out and did the whole Sheetha thing and Nicki Minaj, you know. So she was getting her blow up. Why is it seems like celebrities are never satisfied? Do you think that's true? Do you think we're in a day and age where celebrities are never satisfied?
I think it's a mentality that we grow up with, especially with black culture, and I think the artist pinned it so well. Wale, he said one time, the bad girls ain't no good, and the good girls ain't no fun, and all the hood girls want a smart nigga, and the collar girls all want thugs. It's telling this story, it's telling a narrative. If you don't change the narrative, and especially if you jump into a situation, the narrative is going to carry on with you. At the end of the day, what you want is what you want. But you get into a situation and you stop saying what you want, and then the individual becomes something else, and you never stop to acknowledge it. So now you're trying to force yourself to love a stranger.
Wow. Or you find out you're married to a stranger while you're in the middle of the relationship. Have you ever woke up next to somebody and realized that this ain't the person you fell in love with? You basically woke up in the bed next to a stranger.
Just about every other week in my 20s, but that's another story. Oh my goodness.
But it makes you wonder if these individuals really knew who they were when they were going in. I think a lot of times what we find in these celebrity relationships is a lot of these individuals find out who they are in the middle of the relationship.
Right.
And then after they find out who they are in the middle of the relationship, they're already stuck in the relationship. And so all of a sudden the relationship starts going bad because you don't communicate with your significant other to let them know, hey, guess what? I am changing. Mm-hmm. Can you change with me?
Do you know how different the world would be if individuals who are in relationships actually took the bold move to say, I'm changing.
I am changing. I am evolving. I have evolved. What I used to, because I mean, come on, y'all, let's be real. It happens. No one, if you are the same person that you were 5 years ago, you need to grow up. You need to grow up. Because every day you should be reaching for a greater version of the person you were yesterday.
Indeed.
There should be something different about you. And if it's not, then there's a problem with you. But I think the problem is we don't have these discussions in the relationship. We don't have these discussions. We just allow the relationship to haphazardly continue, and now all of a sudden we end up with these casualties. And the problem is with celebrityism is now your casualty is for the world to see.
Sadly. But relationships have become like church. You could be real everywhere else, but there.
But there. So the next one we have Bobby and Whitney. Next to this, I have when habits supersede the relationship.
Mm.
What do you do when your habit becomes greater than your relationship? And do you have the capacity to love one another through the habit? I watched a movie, it was an old movie, but the movie was called When a Man Loves a Woman. Amazing movie, amazing movie. In the movie, the wife had a habit. I think she was an alcoholic, if I can remember correctly. And bad, sloppy alcoholic. And the husband was going to leave her. And I think at one point in the movie, he did leave her. I would have to go back and watch the movie. Excellent love story. But he ends up coming back and fighting for and with her until she kicked the habit. I mean, he got down. When she would run off, he would go search for her. When she was sloppy drunk, he would dump the liquor. I mean, it was amazing. Do we really have what it takes to stay in there and fight for who we say we love until they can kick the habit, no matter what the habit is? Some people's habits are gambling. Some people's habits are drugs. Some people's habits are alcohol. Some people's habits are sex. Do we have what it takes to go the long haul? Or have we become such a society where we're quick to run away at the first sign of trouble?
I think one must first define whether they are in love or whether they are in agreement. There's a big difference. If I'm in love with you, that means that whatever we have to face, whatever we have to encounter, I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to do it because I love you, and I love you until the end of time. But if I'm just in an agreement at any given point in time, I could break it.
But that would bring up, can you have deal breakers and still call it love?
I think not. I think not. Now, at the end of the day, if it's something where an individual has caused you bodily harm or like your life is in danger, of course, in those situations, you better get up out of there, because if they try to hurt you once in that manner, they'll do it again until they can't, until they take your life. In that instance, I'm not saying to stick around. Or if an individual has literally stolen from you, come on now. Be reasonable when we're talking about deal breakers, if they will. And there's a fine line between someone stealing from you or someone who can't keep the cap on a toothpaste. Come on now.
But some people cannot handle a person being on drugs. That takes a and it can be as simple as weed. If more money is going out to your weed habit than is going into the bank, that's a habit that could be a problem for the relationship. If every night you come in, you're drinking instead of spending time with the family or spending time with me, then that habit is bigger than the relationship. So I can love you, but is my love strong enough to fight through that with you, or do I love myself more and step away? It can be a tricky fine line.
Well, first of all, let's say this point right here before we go any further. We're talking about drugs here. Weed is not in the equation. I don't consider it to be a drug. That's medicine. You need that to get through life. Secondly, secondly, if you will, I stand by my relationship, whatever relationship that I am in, be it friend, be it romantically, like David Ruffin did. As far as the Temptations, no, matter of fact, that was Otis on the movie. He said that nobody and nothing is bigger than a group. And that's the way that I feel about my relationship. Nobody and nothing is bigger than my relationship, because when you start picking and choosing what can and cannot be bigger than that, then you open the door for other things to be bigger than that. Because if you're in a relationship, you're in a relationship with someone and they're really in it with you, whether you have children, no children, they're going to make sure that they include that in the equation as well. But what I'm saying is what I just said. Nothing should be bigger than the relationship. No money, no habit, no addiction should be bigger than the relationship.
What happens, and how, wait, how do you say it? Respect.
Respect.
Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Okay. What happens, which happens a lot in relationships, celebrity or not, but what happens when your significant other do not share that same belief that nothing and no one is bigger than the group? So you brought up Temptations, right? So you had Otis who said nothing is bigger than the group. But you had David Ruffin who felt like he was bigger than the group. So what do, celebrity or not, when you're in a relationship and you feel like nothing is bigger than the group, but your significant other
Feel like they are a group?
feels like they are the group? Do you feel like that relationship is destined for failure, or do you think it can succeed when the two do not agree on that singular point?
No. Respectfully, no. I do not. Because if you feel like you're bigger than us, you'll be making decisions outside of us.
Hence, why I think there are a lot of celebrity relationships that fail because one person feels like they're bigger than the group.
Indeed.
And I think that was the issue with Cardi and Offset. I think that's the issue with Remy and Papoose, because now I think, and I could be wrong, but I think on the whole scale, Remy may have the bigger name than Papoose, but Papoose is the one with the flow. He is the lyrical genius. And he kind of took a step back
Big
to
up yourself,
propel, big, definitely big up. He took a step back to propel her forward, and then she forgot about him. I think in that situation, somewhere, somehow, I don't know if it was with the, I would have to say it was with the weight loss. But I think somewhere in Remy's head, she started feeling like she was bigger than the group.
Yeah. Definitely. If she did not feel she was bigger than the group, she would not have been out in public with the situation. What are you doing sitting down at a table with another man and your husband is oblivious to it? What are you doing?
Absolutely. And that's why I said next to them, when enough is when enough isn't enough.
You literally gave him nothing to be able to stand up and say, well, that's cool. I already know about them spending time. They doing business together, even though you were on something else. Could have said they was doing business together, but you literally not just embarrassed yourself. You embarrassed yourself. You embarrassed your family. You embarrassed anybody and everybody that was connected to you. For what?
Now, speaking about habits, right? Because we did talk about weed and things like that. But what when making money is your habit? Do you think that causes a lot of rifts in celebrity relationships because making money becomes bigger than the group?
I think it goes back to the point that we kind of hit and then backed up off of it, which is communication. If you don't tell a person where you are, that literally leaves the person the outlet and the ability to be able to guess. You gotta tell a person where you are, because if you don't, you can't be mad at them if they don't get it. You gotta tell them where you are. Like, for real. If you feel like I'm asking for sex too much, tell me. If not, I'm gonna keep it the same level that I am. If you feel like I'm smoking weed too much, you gotta tell me. Because if not, I'm gonna stay at the same level that I am. You gotta open up. You gotta say, if you feel like you're bored with me, you feel like my stroke ain't stroking, you gotta tell me.
Now, this is why I have the question, because right now everybody's talking about the bag, the bag, the bag, the bag. I'm in my bag, get my bag. It's all about the bag. I am a firm believer in the law first mentioned, right? So if I'm talking to you and all you talking to me about is the bag, the bag, the bag, that lets me know that making money is the most important thing to you.
See,
So
this,
do you get into a relationship with someone, excuse me, who lets you know in the beginning it's all about the bag?
yeah,
Is your relationship destined to fail if you're talking to someone and all they talk about is the bag? Does that mean the bag is going to be the primary focus of the relationship, especially when you have two individuals who are getting to the bag per se? But the problem comes in when all you care about is the bag.
yeah.
Does the group get lost in translation when all you care about is the bag? And does it cause a problem? And do you think, or should I say, do you think it is the cause or the leading cause of these casualties that we see in celebrity relationships?
Like, definitely it does. Simple answer. It does. But also, too, in a very real and transparent moment, and I'm pretty sure this happens with most men because it's happened to me personally. It may be because of my upbringing and life experience. If I approach my significant other and I feel like uh, I'm going to provoke offense, I usually leave words unsaid, and you can't do that. You can't do that. If there's something that needs to be said, then you have to say it. Because if you don't, then what is going to begin to happen is you're going to begin to develop internal feelings that no one is aware of. And your significant other, especially if they're into you, they're going to notice it every time. What's wrong with you? What's going on with you? Nothing's wrong with me. Nothing's going on with me, because you want to avoid or step over the hard issues. But if you say you got individual who is running a company, or who is at the head of their career, and you're in a relationship with him, and you feel like they're spending too much time at work or too much time focusing on money, even if you know that it's going to offend your significant other, it's better for it to be out than in, I assure you, because in it torments you and it breaks down the relationship. You got to communicate for real. I assure you, if you do not communicate to your significant other where you are, I'm talking to my men here, it's going to create a emotional distress inside of you. And then you're going to begin to unconsciously act out in your relationship. Say the words that need to be said. It's not going to hurt you, I assure you. It may make things tight for a little while, but say what you need to say. And that's the thing that I think that's happening in these celebrity relationships. There's so many words that's unsaid. If you feel like you don't want your significant other at the club till 5 in the morning, say it.
But I think the problem is that they've reached such a status that they don't care about that. I think that celebrities, for the most part, we have made them feel like they are untouchable. And they take that untouchable thought process into these relationships. And they feel, because they're on the status that they are on, that you should just accept what they throw out. So that brings me to another question, right? If you date a celebrity, right, do you think you should just accept what comes because it comes with the territory?
Me personally, no. No, because if you make that adjustment once, you'll be continually making that adjustment. Period.
But and I understand that on our moral level,
Mm-hmm.
but when you look at the fact of what seems to come with celebrityism, right? So let's look at it. So you have basketball players, right?
Mm-hmm.
So with basketball players come a bunch of women. They're
Right.
in and out of states and stadiums and hotels in different cities. And if they play overseas, you're talking about a whole different atmosphere of women,
Right.
right? If you're dealing with a rapper, you already know because they're so flashy, that brings a level of attention,
Right.
right? So if you decide to date one of these individuals,
You know what you're signing up for.
you kind of know what you're signing up for. So, do you think that these individuals should just accept what came with the territory because it's what you signed up for? Or do you reasonably have the right to expect more of them if they decide to get in a relationship with you?
I think it's the instance of where we brought out the point of communicating where you are as far as change is concerned, because it happens whether it's a dope boy, or it's a basketball player, football player, whatever the case may be. The individual starts off in the proverbial um, duck off type of situation, and then they end up wanting to be a wife or to be a spouse, because it happens to men too as well. But you have to communicate it. You have to communicate it, because if not, then that's when you end up in a situation just like to go back a little, like Will and Jay, that you didn't communicate that you were changing or that your needs were changing, and now you find yourself in a situation. But at the end of the day, I feel like, in keeping with where we were, what you agree upon is the agreement, unless there's an acknowledgement of a change of said agreement.
But could that be the issue? Could the issue be that we're so gluttons for attachment that we don't have the conversation up front? We just see, oh, that's Cardi B. Oh, that's Offset. Oh, yeah, that's Amigo. Yeah, that's Cardi. Yeah, that body banging. Let's get together.
I mean,
And then there's no discussion of, okay, what is this relationship going to look like if we get together?
if we're gonna take it there, then we're talking about a celebrity and a world problem. Because 9 times out of 10, how many times, for those of you out there, and make sure that you hit us up in the comments and let us know this here. How many times have you seen someone and they were aesthetically pleasing? He may have had the skin tone you want, the muscle tone you want, and the other thing that you want was just right. And then for her, she had the curves, she had that walk, and it was mean, she had the smile. And then you hooked up with the individual, and you found out you hooked up either with a complete fool, or you hooked up with an individual who had no sense at all. Those individuals that be thinking 2 plus 2 is 10, legitimately. Let's talk about it.
You think there's no substance in these relationships?
I don't. I think individuals go in either just basically on, I like this individual's artistry, I like this individual's look, or I feel like this could boost my brand.
Ooh, maybe that is the problem with these celebrity relationships. The problem is that they're really not relationships; they're brand boosters.
Yeah, they think about it with
I
the
mean,
brand.
because think about it. If I'm a starting out rapper, right, and I get with let me see, who is bae right now? I get with Future.
Right.
Because I used to love me some Future back in the day, baby.
And he loved a lot of people.
I probably could have been bought back in the day. If Future, listen.
What you say? Turn off the lights.
Turn off the light. I'm looking for him too. Feel me?
On the real.
I probably could have been bought back in the day because I was in love with some Future.
Hey,
but
I struggle with myself right now, like, because if all due respect, but if Nikki calling me, call me gone.
Call you gone.
Yeah.
But you got to stop and think about it. If I'm up and coming and I have a Future come on to me
versus a local rapper.
Versus a local rapper in my city.
But the local rapper loves you. He respects you.
But I see the ability to build my brand.
But what about what you need beyond the brand?
What I'm saying to you
No, I'm
is
posing the
a
questions.
lot of people are not getting in a relationship for beyond the brand.
Yeah, but I'm posing those questions in answer to what you're explaining that the people are doing. It's good for your brand, but is it good for you?
But what I'm saying is I don't think the people care about that right now until it goes bad. They don't care about that until it goes bad. Then after it goes bad, now I'm thinking about what I need for me in the long haul instead of thinking about that up front. Yeah, being with Future is good for my brand, but if I look at the history,
Right?
he got about how many kids with how many different baby mamas. He done been seeing it in and out with this many different women. Does this person have the ability to be stable with me and me alone? Like, I'm wondering if celebrities really take out the time to have these conversations, because it would make you think now, once you threw that in there, the building of the brand, if all of them seem to be a publicity stunt, like, is it just a publicity stunt and children happen to come out of these, or are these solid relationships that somewhere went wrong?
Again, I think it's both. I think some of these relationships were really solid, but I take it back to my first point, and that's where, and I encourage all of you, all of the confidants out there, if you're aiming at achieving high goals and reaching a high financial status, begin now to surround yourself with people that will pop your balloon when there's a need for it to be popped. Not people that's going to fluff you up and that's going to feed your ego. Because at the end of the day, these individuals, they have no one around them telling them, hey, think about you. The focus is on the brand.
Yeah.
Because the brand is what's paying you. You the person is not paying you. Belcalis is not paying the bills. Cardi B is paying the bills. So,
But you're going home with Belcalis.
But you're going home with Belcalis.
Absolutely. So that brings up another question. What are you willing to do to build your brand? Drop it in the comments.
Oof.
See, it goes back to, again, that question that we asked in the beginning. Can you be bought? What's your price? Because if you're getting into a relationship with someone just for the aspect of building your brand, that means you can be bought.
Yeah.
Because all you're thinking about is the brand. You're not thinking about the relationship. So drop in the comments, what would you be willing to do to build your brand? If the right person came along right now and said, I can build your brand. It's the same thing of what we discuss as industry plans. It's the same thing. What would you be willing to do to build your brand? If someone said, I can take you from right now where your channel is and I can make you bigger than Jason Lee right now, are you going? Are you going to be on top?
That's the question.
That's the question
And that's
on
the
the
question.
table.
That's the question that many of us have to ask ourselves every day. But for those of us who are actually aiming for better and a higher level, these are the questions that you have to begin to ask yourself now. And I'm encouraging you to do it so tough because when you're in a state of a proverbial rat race, right? The only thing that's on your mind is survival. And then if you're not careful, you'll go from survival to stardom. And you'll constantly be in a mode of survival and surviving instead of building an empire. Kings don't have to run around and be chaotic. They give a command, it happens. I'm not saying it in the instance of being a solo, for all intents and purposes, outlet controlling things, but I'm saying they make things happen without a bunch of chaos.
I feel
because they settle within themselves who they were and what their goal and their agenda is and what the goal and the agenda is for those around them.
So, let's just say So the last one that we have on the list, right,
Mm-hmm.
is Sierra and Future. Right, we just mentioned Future, so
Mm-hmm.
Sierra and Future. I have next to them when attention is too much attention.
Gotcha. But you know
I
what?
also have underneath that subtopic, if you will, Safari and Erica Mena as well.
Gotcha.
When attention is too much attention.
I think in the instance of Sierra, I think Sierra had a real conversation with herself. If she didn't, then she's going to be in trouble because Russell Wilson is definitely the total opposite of Future. So hopefully she's settled within herself. This is what I need for me personally, not for my brand, not for the bag. This is what I need. An individual that is, for all intents and purposes, a believer, who is a family man, who loves me.
Absolutely. And I'm thinking from the aspect of Future when I say when attention is too much attention. Because you take this
I gotta put this out.
breakout star, right? Who was Future?
Mm-hmm.
Because when Future came out, it wasn't nobody flowing like Future.
No.
Like, turn on the lights. I'm looking forward to. Like,
Mask
come on
off,
now.
you know what I mean?
Come on now. Future was everything when he came out. Like, what other rapper was talking about take you to the moon and astronaut and come on now. Future was saying stuff that we didn't like. This nigga is talking about going to the moon from Earth.
This individual who made a song called Purple Rain and made us forget that Prince came out with it first.
Period.
He said, I just need my girlfriend.
That he said that.
I'm just saying. Amazing.
So now you take this young man, right?
Mm-hmm.
And naturally, he gonna get flocks
Mm-hmm.
of crows flocking because he came out, he got a different flow. Now you on top, so all the birds is coming out,
Mm-hmm.
trying to get at the Negro on top. And then you put him in a relationship, and he's not done with that thought process of I have all the attention now. It is there a danger of getting in a relationship with someone who's craving attention?
Yes, there is. There is, because enough will never be enough. A person who is craving attention and excessively amount of attention, it will always have to be on them. That type of person will almost get jealous if you give more attention to your children if you have them together. I feel like it's very, very dangerous, and it leads down a very dangerous path because even with an adult, if they are attention addicted, if they don't get the attention that they need, then they'll act out.
Wow. I think this has been a really good discussion. Really good discussion.
Indeed.
Especially because you have a lot of people now who really want to attain that celebrity status.
Right.
And it kind of makes you wonder if you can even safely start a relationship after you become a celebrity.
You can, but you must first properly assess the situation, even in sticking with Sierra and Future. Future, when he first started, for those of you who don't know him, where he got his real kickoff at, right? It's when he hooked up with a gentleman called DJ Esco. DJ Esco is, and I believe he still is, the DJ for Magic City. If you've never been there, go. Make sure you're 21 and older, though. And he DJ'd at one of the, if not the top strip club in Atlanta. So Future is constantly, night after night, inside of the strip club, having his music pushed, being around strippers all day, all night. That's dangerous. And not even that. Now he's getting word of mouth traction because, you know, Future is loved on both sides of the spectrum, male and female, but especially on that female side of the spectrum, they love them some Future. So now those girls are talking about it outside of the club, and girls are talking about it inside the club. Now he's on TV. Now he has the influence. You assess the situation. Can you handle this situation? If you can't, leave it alone.
So do you think that individuals should wait until celebrities have been at that quote unquote celebrity status for a certain period of time before you talk about getting in a relationship with them? Like, do you think they need a trial celebrity period to get it out their system, or do you think it's just the individual?
I think that they should hold tight. I think that they can hang together, they can have a good time, develop their connection. But as far as like developing, where like hard nose knock locking it down to where this is something serious, you hold tight, especially if it's a young celebrity, because that's a wild card. You never know what the individual is gonna do. You might end up with an Ice Cube, or you might end up with a Future. It's a coin toss.
Or Ike, you just never know.
Well, you
'Cause
never know. You
apparently, a
definitely never
lot of
know.
these celebrities are fist of furious now.
Yeah.
And that's why I say, do you think these celebrity relationships can last? Because it seems these days that celebrityism has unleashed a beast mode in individuals where they feel like they're untouchable. Like, you know, do you know who I am? Type untouchable, as if because you've reached a certain echelon that you can do what you want, you can say what you want because I am who I am. I think that's what Cassie dealt with because of who Diddy was. It was like, yeah, you got a name, but I'm Diddy. Do you know who I am? I can do what I want. I can say what I want.
Yeah,
So do you think that is the danger of getting into relationships or being in a relationship with a celebrity, is that you take the chance of running into this God complex of, I made it, accept what you're given because you with me.
That's definitely the case. If no other example needed, let's look at the other individuals that we talked about, Safari and Miss Minna. She literally said, for the world to hear, Black Monkey. You know? And so for someone else that may be like, well, that's not that bad. When you think about the context of it and the context in which she was saying it, it is that bad. But she felt that when she said that and gave that racial tone, that everything was going to be okay because I'm me. I'm on this show. Mona Scott is going to back me. My fans are going to back me. And she found out the hard way. That's not the case. But that's a very rare instance. Unless we as fans speak up and turn around the narrative, it's never going to change. And that's just the reality of it. Now, we can write as much as we want to on the wall, but that's just it.
So you think a lot of these celebrities need to be brought down a notch?
Definitely.
You think they've lost their humility?
Definitely. When was the last time you seen Babyface in the club popping bottles?
Well, no.
I'll wait. And he's made more money in music than most. When was the last time you seen Stevie Wonder in a bar going crazy, having girls twerking on him, but he's still moving units? Because these individuals are feeding the beast, and the beast of their fame is ultimately disrupting their relationship. Because if you do not address what you need to before you reach the level of stardom that a Cardi B, that a Rick Ross, that a Pretty V does, then it is only going to come back to bite you in the end. You gotta have people around you to be able to pop your balloon, to be able to give you reality checks. If not, you're gonna constantly think like everything that you do is right, you could do no wrong, and you run this show, and the show is you.
I definitely agree with you there. Feel you totally. So we're going to go ahead and get ready to wrap it up because I can tell the kiddies are getting a little anxious at this pool and I don't want them to interrupt the rest of the show, but this topic has been good. So
Indeed.
final thoughts, Kingston, on this topic of fame and flames and love under the lens, and do you think celebrity relationships can last? What are your thoughts? What are your final thoughts?
I definitely believe in my heart of hearts, when it's all said and done, that it can survive. But it only can survive if the two individuals in question are willing to do proper vetting at every step. You got to do the checks and you got to do the balances. It can happen. You can make it possible. But you got to keep a check on it.
I got
And that's
you
the
there.
word for me, Kingston. I'm out of Champagne, but I'm not out of Secretzz. Big up yourself.
I got you there. My final point would be casualties are created when there's anything that's bigger than the group. With celebrities, it may be money, it may be influence, it may be attention, but anytime anything is bigger than the group, you're going to create a casualty. Number two is whenever we allow egos to get in the middle of the relationship, we are definitely going to have a problem with the relationship. Number three is both individuals have to know who they are, what they bring to the table, and what they want out of the table once they get there before going in. If you don't set the premise and the ground rules before you go in, you're going to have a problem and it's going to create a casualty on the way out.
Indeed.
Indeed. Thank you for joining in with us today. Go ahead and remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this little chit chat that we had. I hope your glasses are still filled to the rim, and if not, go ahead and fill them on back up and do a little reflection for us. Share this out to your friends so that we can develop some more confidence. And I promise you, when we figure out this streaming thing, we're going to do this thing live so that we can really engage with y'all, because we want your responses in real time on how you feel about some of these tough matters. Confidence. Remember, anything not causing you to elevate is causing you to depreciate. Now raise those glasses, clink, and let's drink.
Let's go.